Hello dear friends and my dear students of biology. Myself Dr. P.K. Verma. Today I shall discuss the second division of plant kingdom, that is Bryophyta. Bryophytes represents the evolutionary intermediate stage of ascent of life from aquatic to terrestrial form. These are anatomically as well as embryologically intermediate between Thallophyta and Pteridophyta. The plant may be as small as a few millimeters to about 30 to 40 centimeters. Dawsonia reaches up to 70 centimeter height. There are about 960 genera and over 25,000 species of Bryophyta. They grow in muddy and damp soil, mostly in the shades, and need water for sexual reproduction, so they are the amphibians of plant kingdom. Some bryophytes are fully aquatic, whereas some others can develop in dry environment and deserts. A few species are even saprotrophs. They often grow in bare lands and on rocks and prepare environment for the plant succession. You have studied about algae, that their organization is at cell level, though they form filament or thallus-like structures. The filaments may be straight or branched as well, and sometimes leaf-like structures also develop. The brown and red algae were more developed than the green algae. But now that level of tissue organization begins in the bryophytes, particularly a definite epithelium and parenchymatous cortex and medulla are represented in many of the species. So it is second level of organization from the cell level to tissue level. The main plant body is normally haploid or gametophyte and produce the male sex organ Antheridium and female sex organ Archegonium. Fertilization needs at least a drop of water in which Antherozoite can swim and move into Archegonium. Movement of male gamete is a chemotaxic mechanism, and the malic acid released from dissolving cap cells and neck canal cells of Archegonium attract them towards venter. When these cells dissolve, many organic acids, amino acids, and sugar also are released, and they all may have chemotaxic effect. But these chemicals are not species specific, and so if there is a chance that the male gamete of other species is there, it also can enter into venter. The zygote represents diploid generation, that is a sporophytic generation. It forms a minute multicellular sporophyte on the body of gametophyte. Some of the cells of this sporophyte undergoes meiosis and produce 4 haploid cells. When these haploid cells or spores germinate, a haploid gametophytic generation is produced. Thus there is a very small sporophytic but a larger gametophytic generation. However, it can be said that alternation of generation is found at the level of Bryophyta. The gametophytes are long-lived, but the sporophytes have short life. Bryophyta division has been divided into 2 classes by Eichler in 1883. The classes are Hepaticopsida, commonly called liverwort, and Bryopsida, commonly known as mossage. Most of the botanists include Anthoceros in class Hepaticopsida or Hepatici, but it may have many properties which are not shared by other members of Hepaticopsida. So a separate class, Anthocerotopsida, is made by some scientists. Now come to the first class, Hepaticopsida, that is the liverworts. The members of class Hepaticopsida or Hepatici are commonly known as liverworts because the thallus of many of the species look like the lobes of liver. Hepatic means related to liver. There are about 10,000 species in this class, 20% of which are thallose and remaining are foliose. That is, leaf-like structures are formed in the foliose form, but thallus-like in the thallose form. When the leaf is formed, it is without a midrib. So you can say that even the leaf represents a thallus phase. The thallose forms become dichotomously branched, forming an anterior notch. From the ventral surface of thallus, many unicellular rhizoid roots appear, which are either smooth-walled or tuberculated. From all the sides, some multicellular scales also appear that prevents desiccation of the thallus, but there is no axillary bud. Usually the scales cover a axillary bud, but in this case there is no axillary bud, though the scale is dry. The outer layer of cells form epithelium in the lateral and ventral sides. In the dorsal side, columns of chlorophyllous cells, leaving air spaces in between them. This part acts as photosynthetic or assimilatory zone. The lower part of parenchymatous tissue acts as a storage zone. Food is stored mainly in the form of starch in the protoplasm. Some wild droplets also are present. In some species of Rixia, a bud or tuber is formed anterior to the notch. In Markensia, a number of gymma cups are formed. that is cup-like structures are formed in which the asexual reproducing structure known as gymma or gemmule develops. So one gemmule develops within each cup. Vegetative propagation occurs by death and degeneration of old part of thallus or fragmentation of thallus. Asexual reproduction occurs from the buds or tubers or gymma. On the dorsal surface, Antheridia are club-shaped and Archegonia are flask-shaped. In the Antheridia, flagellated male gametes or antherozoites are formed, whereas in Archegonium, an immotile ovum is formed. Rixia is monoecious or homothalic, in which both male organs and female organs develop in the same thallus and therefore they have self-fertilization. Markensia is dioecious, that is heterothalic. The male and female sex organs are produced on two different thallus. The Archegonium and Antheridium develop at the tip of a stalked structure named as archegoniophore or antheridiophore. On maturity, these gametangia open like an umbrella. Now see the photograph of a thallus of Rixia. You can see that in this thallus, two parts are formed from each lobe. Here are the two lobes and each lobe divides again into two. So the mother thallus is dead from this part. This is the one thallus. It forms two different thalli and each lobe again divide into two. You can see it in the photograph as well as in this artistic diagram. See, it divides into two parts. Again, each part divides into two, again into two, two, and so on. So it is called dichotomous branching. At the apex of each lobe, a apical notch is formed, and that has very poor development, but the lateral part develops more, and therefore it divides into two outer lobes. You can see in the diagram many minute hair-like structures or the rhizoid roots. Now see a photograph of Markensia. You can see here a number of cup-like structures on the surface of thallus, and if you see carefully, in each cup there is a gymma. There is a gymma. So the cup is called gymma cup, and this spore is gemmule or gymma. Now see the structure of male sex organ and female sex organ. In the first diagram you can see it is a female sex organ or archegonium. The lower rounded part is called venter, and inside venter a single ovum develops. It has a long neck. There are 5 to 7 cells in the neck region that are called neck canal cell. They had been dissolved in this case and therefore give a passage for the entry of the male gametes. So it is a mature archegonium having no cap cell, having no neck canal cell, and having no venter cell. This is the photograph of Antheridium, that is male sex organ. It has a large number of cells inside. When the number increases many hundred, each cell differentiate into a flagellated spindle-shaped male gamete. The male gametes are released from the spore and swim into the neck of the archegonium, causing fertilization in the venter. In Anthoceratopsida, which is a small group, the gametophyte plant body is dorsiventral, lobed thallus. They have only smooth wall rhizoids and ventral scales are absent. There is no air chamber or pore, but in a few species, intercellular cavities are found that open in the ventral surface through a slit called slime pore. Each cell of thallus has a single or sometimes two or more laminated chloroplast with a conspicuous compound central pyrenoid. The cells lack whorl bodies. So Anthoceros is a typical example of Anthoceratopsida. It is different than Rixia and Markensia. Antheridia arise from hypodermal cells on the dorsal side of the thallus and lie within the antheridial chamber beneath the upper surface of thallus. Archegonia also almost completely embedded in the dorsal hypodermal layer. The antherozoids are liberated into water. As bunched with slime mass, they flow or swim into neck canal of archegonium and fertilize the ovum. There are both monoecious, that is homothallic, and dioecious, that is heterothallic species of Anthoceros. The sporophyte develop deeply embedded inside the gametophyte, surrounded by gametophytic cells. The zygote differentiate into a sporangium, inside which the spore mother cells undergo meiotic division and haploid spores are formed. By germination of these spores, the next generation of plant body or gametophyte are formed. So here also only the zygote is the diploid phase and the entire plant body is haploid or gametophyte. Now see the photograph of Anthoceros. In the lower part, a thallus-like structure is seen, and these long grass-like structures bear sporangium. You can see after maturation the sporangia break into two halves. You can see two parts of the upper sporangial part of the vertical branches. The spores are liberated into air. Now, this is the thallus from which this sporophore is developed, and at apex you can see that a sporangium is being formed. Now see the Bryopsida, that is mossage. Members of the class Bryopsida are commonly known as mossage. There are as many as 12,000 species of mossage which grow at moist places near taps, tube wells, rain-infested walls, stones and rocks. These are found all over the world. Some species are aquatic also, and some species are luminous. Mosses are radially symmetrical, branched, prostrating, and leafing plant. Most species are smaller, from 1 to 12 centimeter, but a few species are as tall as 60 centimeter. They grow a large number of rhizoids, which are multicellular and often branched. So they have great vegetative propagation. In their axis, conducting vessels known as hydroid for water and leptoid for food are developed. So you can say that it is the stage when formation of xylem and formation of phloem begins by differentiation of the parenchymatous cells. Mosses develop gregariously by fragmentation, buds, tubers, gymma, protonema, etc. For sexual reproduction, they develop antheridia and archegonia on the tips of leafy branches. Fertilization occurs in the oosphere of archegonium. Here, in place of the name venter, oosphere is used and diploid zygote or oospore is formed. The sporophyte develops from oospores and differentiate to form foot, seta and capsule. That is, a diploid generation is formed here. In the capsule, the central region forms theca, inside which several air spaces and a central columella is formed. Inside columella, spore sacs develop. When the spores are formed, the capsule becomes dry and its operculum bursts, releasing the spores into air. These spores germinate at moist places to form protonema. So these spores are now haploid spores, and so the protonema also will be haploid. They gradually become branched and often form bud. From these buds, secondary protonema and leafy branches develop. In the moss plants, gametophytic and sporophytic generations are more distinct, so there is a distinct alternation of generation. Mosses have no specific economic value, but these are very much important for the plant succession in a barren, rocky grounds. It can destroy the surface of rock, make some soil, and help in increasing humus. Now see how on the surface of a rock moss has been grown, moss has been developed. You also can see such formation of moss near the wells or your tap out of the campus, on the boundary wall also in this rainy season. Now it is a very close photograph of a well-developed moss. You can see round structures at the apex. These small capsule-like structures form the spores inside them. See, this is the capsule. It has a central part in which spores are formed. It is called columella. It has an operculum also. When the sporangium becomes mature, the operculum bursts out and spores are released. So it is a very beautiful diagram of the sporophyte of moss. Now it is all about bryophytes, and in next session we shall discuss about the pteridophytes that has a more complex life cycle than bryophyte and has more classes as well. Thank you very much.